Let me ask you this. Do you think it's appropriate for a foreign flag to be mandatory on school campuses here in the United States? Because that's what Beverly Hills just did. The Beverly Hills School Board just voted to require the Israeli flag to be flown on all of its campuses. Watch this.
Resolution passes 3-2.
Thank you.
A stamp of approval by the Beverly Hills Unified School District Board of Education, passing a resolution meant to combat anti-Semitism in the community and drawing strong reaction from the public and board members.
This is a time right now that Jews are being killed and slaughtered on the street and threats are happening. So enough.
The resolution would, among other things, recognize May as Jewish Heritage Month, display the Israeli flag at each school and facility, call for education and awareness around Jewish history and culture, and designate October 7th, 2023 as an annual day of remembrance. Supporters say the measure is needed amid rising anti-Semitism to make Jewish students feel safe and supported.
I believe this vote is for the Jewish people, for anti-Semitism, and why there needs to be education and training.
This should be a no-brainer for a school district that represents one of the only Jewish majority communities outside of Israel.
But opponents argue that displaying the Israeli flag in a public school setting blurs the line between supporting Jewish people and endorsing the Israeli government, particularly during the war in Gaza, adding that other ethnic and religious groups exist in the school district as well.
Does any flag of a foreign nation belong on a public school facility here in Beverly Hills? Of course not.
Moreover, some organizations and local parents warn the resolution is not designed to protect all students. Instead, it could alienate certain kids, exclude other persecuted communities, and even fuel more anti-Semitism.
I mean, yeah, that's what do you think it's going to do? It's, of course, going to fuel more anti-Semitism. The problem that we're having and the discussion that we're having is not just that the United States is supporting a genocide. That is, of course, a giant part of the discussion. The fact that Israel's committing a genocide, also a big part of the discussion. But another big player in this is the fact that Israel seems to control our government, that we're infiltrated by this outside foreign Middle Eastern government that has been able to basically control nearly every aspect of our society here in the United States. I mean, here we are being censored because we have to protect Israel. We're giving Israel a ton of money because why? When Americans are completely against this. And now this school board thinks that it's a good idea in order to combat that growing feeling to now demand and make it mandatory for the Israeli flag to be flown on school campuses. They think that that's going to somehow tamper this discussion down, that we feel a little bit kind of taken over by a foreign government and that they're in control. So here we are, suspicious they're in control. And instead they say, well, yeah, they are. And so here we got to put the flag up. It'll fly right next to the U.S. flag. I mean, where are they going to put this flag? Is it really going to be flying right next to the U.S. flag? Are the kids going to be asked to stand up every morning and do the Pledge of Allegiance to Israel from now on? I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, this is such a bonehead move to think that this is going to counter the very narrative. This is exactly what we're suspicious of. This is what we're suspicious of. And now you've gone and done it. You've proven it. Our suspicions aren't conspiracy theories. It's an actual conspiracy against Americans. And you're proving it. You're proving Israel's taken over. You're now going to proudly fly the flag of your real country, apparently, on the school campuses and brainwash all these Beverly Hills school children into which is really absurd, because one of the things too, I've been living in Los Angeles for a long time, and Beverly Hills is a very mixed community. A lot of Arabs living in Beverly Hills, a lot of Jews living in Beverly Hills, lots of Arabs living in Beverly Hills. There's a lot of Middle Easterners who live there. And so how are these families going to feel sending their kids that are from these various different Middle Eastern countries their flag isn't being flown, but instead the Israeli flag. And it's because they've now said that the Israeli flag, I mean, this is how much influence this lobby has. And this has been the complete suspicion of all of us, that this lobby has so much influence that it has been able to successfully claim that the flag of a foreign Middle Eastern country is connected to Jewish identity. And therefore, if you criticize it, you are saying things that are anti-Semitic against Jews. They've been able to successfully pull this off. We've been screaming about it. This was about to happen. This would be a total infringement on our free speech. And here they've gone and done it. And they've continued to do it. They recently there was even legislation that was passed to say that, let me see what this one is. It says, we don't have a legal group hails the breakthrough as U.S. judge equates Israeli flag with Jewish identity. A federal court says attacking the Star of David is racial discrimination, not political protest, setting legal standard for future cases involving anti-Zionist targeting Jews, they claim. This is from the Times of Israel. So, of course, they frame it in a way, but saying that the judge's decision sets a new legal standard that can be used to protect Jews targeted in anti-Zionist attacks. I mean, this is just insane. So now you've got even a federal judge saying, yep, the Israeli flag is a symbol of Jewish identity, rather than it just being the flag of a foreign Middle Eastern country, and we should be allowed to protest it all we want. Here's another weird thing that happened. To just kind of, once again, prove that our country seems to be completely taken over, this is a letter from Congress. Congress is actually going after Wikipedia, right? Wikipedia. Why? Oh, because Wikipedia isn't pro-Israel enough. So this was dated yesterday. This is from Congress, 119th Congress of the United States House of Representatives. This is from our U.S. government. And they say the Committee on Oversight and Government Reform is investigating the efforts of foreign operations and individuals at academic institutions subsidized by U.S. taxpayer dollars to influence U.S. public opinion. The irony of that right there, right? They're saying foreigners are influencing our academic institution. And yes, they are. It's called Israel. Israelis, yes, they are. And they're saying, and they're making people anti-Israel. So the accusation is fundamentally that they're usually pointing the finger at Qatar, right? And they've got these other, but mainly I think it's Qatar that they're trying to point out and saying it's CARE, right? The Arab lobby. So they're saying it's these Arabs. These Arabs have infiltrated our schools. These Arabs have infiltrated the minds of our young people, and they're teaching anti-Zionist, anti-Semitic hate. And that's what's going on here. And they're actually trying to say that our public institutions that are funded by taxpayers are infiltrated by these foreign operations, and we've got to investigate that. Yeah, you're just kind of looking at the wrong spot. Says that we seek your assistance in obtaining documents and communications regarding individuals or specific accounts serving as Wikipedia volunteer editors who violated Wikipedia platform policies, as well as your own efforts to thwart intentional, organized efforts to inject bias into important and sensitive topics. So they sent this letter to Wikimedia Foundation, which runs Wikipedia. Multiple studies and reports have highlighted efforts to manipulate information on the Wikipedia platform for propaganda aimed at Western audiences. One recent report raised troubling questions about potentially systematic efforts to advance anti-Semitic and anti-Israel information in Wikipedia articles related to conflicts with the State of Israel. A second investigation detailed actions by hostile nation-state actors to expose Western audiences to pro-Kremlin and anti-Western messaging by manipulating Wikipedia articles and other news outlets relied on for training AI chatbots. Your foundation, which hosts the Wikipedia platform, has acknowledged taking actions responding to misconduct by volunteer editors who effectively create Wikipedia's encyclopedic articles. The committee recognizes that virtually all web-based information platforms must contend with bad actors and their efforts to manipulate. Our inquiry seeks information to help our examination of how Wikipedia responds to such threats and how frequently it creates accountability when intentional, egregious, or highly suspicious patterns of conduct on topics, against Jews and Zionists, against Israel is what they're kind of trying to say. Because they say if it's against Israel, it's against Jews, which is just not accurate. But this is what they're trying to say. Right? They're trying to say, well, this is just an attack on Jews. No, it's an attack on Israel. It's a foreign Middle Eastern country. But our Congress, our U.S. Congress that's doing so much to help the Americans, we're just so America first. So America first. I mean, at what point are we going to start raising the Israeli flag at the White House and flying it above the United States flag? I mean, we're getting pretty close to this point. And all they're doing is proving it. Right, by Beverly Hills saying, we require now, the school board requires the Israeli flag to be flown on all school campuses in Beverly Hills. For Congress to say, Wikipedia, we're mad at you for anti-Israel content. You can say anything you want, anti-China, anywhere else in the world, even anti-America, but you cannot be anti-Israel. We demand information. And people want to say it's a conspiracy theory that our government has taken over. A conspiracy theory. It's not a theory. We're watching this happen in real time in front of our faces, and we're being treated like we're stupid. They're trying to make it, oh, how dare you even think that? I mean, now the Israeli flag is going to be everywhere, and our Congress isn't working for us anymore. But how dare you think that? Meanwhile, Trump was, he signed this executive order, right, that you're not allowed to burn the United States flag. This, by the way, I think happened because the timing of it, right? The week earlier, there was a lot of chatter about with that ruling in the federal court that the Israeli flag is now deemed as a symbol of Jewish identity. Then it follows that if you burn it, then you would actually be considered doing an act of anti-Semitism, and it would be illegal in the country. It'd be a hate crime. So Marjorie Taylor Greene and other high-profile people were pointing out that, wow, so now in this country, you're not allowed to burn the Israeli flag. You could burn the American flag, but you can't burn the Israeli flag. So what does Donald Trump do? Rather than saying, no, of course you can burn whatever flag you want. It's a free speech. The ruling's ridiculous. Of course, the flag of Israel is not and should not be connected to Jewish identity, obviously, right? Rather than condemning the obvious censorship that is being imposed on us, Trump instead decides to amp it up and censor us more. And he then signs an executive order that we're not allowed to now burn the American flag.
Lastly, sir, this is an executive order on flag burning. It charges your attorney general.
Would you listen to this? This is very important. Flag burning. All over the country, they're burning flags. All over the world, they burn the American flag. And as you know, through a very sad court, I guess it was a 5-4 decision, they called it freedom of speech. But there's another reason, which is perhaps much more important. It's called death. Because what happens when you burn a flag is the area goes crazy. If you have hundreds of people, they go crazy.
No, they don't. They do not. So he's thinking that if you burn a flag, people are going to die. That's the thinking here. You burn a flag, people are going to die. You burn a flag, people are going to start rioting. There's going to be just like death and destruction everywhere, and people are going to die. And so therefore, you can't burn a flag because that would be akin to screaming fire in a crowded theater. That's what he's trying to assert right here. No. It is not a matter of life and death, but they try to make it so. And here is a vet who has burned the American flag, and then he gets arrested.
My name is Jay Carey. I'm a retired disabled combat veteran, served over 20 years in the United States Army. I fought for every single one of your rights to express yourself in however you feel that you may want to express yourself. There's a First Amendment right to burn the American flag. The Archdiocese in that house right there signed an executive order today saying that it was illegal to burn the American flag. No president can make a law, period. No Congress will make a law infringing on First Amendment rights. I'm burning this flag as a protest to that illegal fascist president that sits in that house. Do this for every single one of you American citizens. We burn this flag in protest to that president who feels that it's his right to do whatever he wants, make whatever law he wants, regardless if it's legal or illegal.
Now I'm just waiting for the violence to break out. I'm just waiting with bated breath. Who's going to die?
No way. No way. Go the fuck away from me. Fuck it. What the fuck? Once again, my name is Jay Carey. I am a 20-year combat veteran, having served in the United States Army. It is our First Amendment right to burn this flag, regardless of what the president says.
So I think that the guy was wanting him to go away because, you see the Palestine protests there. And so a lot of people that are in these protests for Palestine get really sensitive about this because they think and rightfully thinking that this could be some sort of an op, right? Where this person comes along and burns the American flag, and then they take a lot of imagery of that, and they say, see, these pro-Palestine people hate America, and that's why we have to crack down on them, and that's why they're terrorists. So I think, I'm just speculating, but I think the reason why that guy was like, hey, get out of here, because he was like maybe a pro-Palestine protester that didn't want this sort of optic there. And I understand that. But I think this guy was really just protesting.
Nobody will enforce those illegal laws that president tried to make.
Well, they do enforce it.
Right.
So they did arrest him. This is a violation of his First Amendment right. I believe he has the right to burn the American flag. This will be contested in court. Trump's executive order will be contested in court, as it should be, because it should be our right to burn the American flag. Look, if pornography could be viewed as free speech, then I don't understand how this couldn't also be viewed as free speech. You should be allowed to burn the flag of your country. What if your country is committing, which ours does, unfortunately, regularly, commits atrocious crimes? Would we have blamed Germans? I think we would actually categorize Germans who have burned the Nazi flag. We would actually categorize them as heroes. If we, in the history books, if we had any images of Germans that were burning the Nazi flag, that were totally against their government, we would now in history say these people were heroes. So you absolutely should have the right to burn your flag if you believe your country is no longer operating in your best interest, or if you think that your country is committing awful crimes, you should be allowed to burn that flag. Quite frankly, you should be allowed. That's why it is protected political protest, because there could come a day, maybe that day's already been reached in our country, where our country is so tyrannical, so fascist, so completely gone rogue that the way for Americans to protest is to say, this is no longer my country, and this flag, I'm going to showcase this by burning the flag. That is why it's protected free speech. But here's Donald Trump, acting like there they are. They're criticizing China all the time. The communists, they don't allow you to do that. You don't have freedom in these countries. You can't criticize the Chinese Communist Party. You wouldn't be able to burn their flag. And so what are we going to do in response in order to be different from China and these communists? We're going to enact the exact same laws. That's what we're going to do, which we're actually going to talk about more of that next here, because Trump has been nationalizing all kinds of industries, all in the name of capitalism. Thank you for watching this clip from the full Kim Iverson Show, which you can catch Monday through Friday, 2 p.m. Pacific, 5 p.m. Eastern at KimIversonShow.com. It is free for you to watch. Again, 2 p.m. Pacific, 5 p.m. Eastern, KimIversonShow.com. See you there.